we go. There we go. I had not set that up in a long time. Okay. I think we're ready. Beep, beep, motherfucker. Okay. Alright, so the first thing I want to do... What's taking up my mems? And that. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. But freeloader time, baby! That's what I was waiting for. Yeah, woo, yeah. Oh yeah. Time for some freeloader. Freedom loader. All right. Okay, so our plan today is going to be pretty cool. But first we're gonna bring out all of our friends here. Take a look at this for a minute. Ba 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 ba. Good. Good. Yeah. Oh. Nope. Nope. Yes. Okay. Finally add boot EFI file. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm excited. Very cool. Okay. So the branch we're working with today is this guy. One commit on top of master. Very neat. There's very little that's not in master anymore. The bulk of this is. And we're going to take some time today and solve some of the issues that I've found while dealing with this. So, here's the thing. What our plan is. Oh goodness. Let's see. All right. Don't show again, later, and then remove. Okay, so here we have essentially a little setup to get the BIOS, or sorry, the EFI ACPI area. Okay, so we pass it along to maybe someday. Yeah, it's crazy, actually. I'm very excited for that, to be honest. The future looks bright. So we have different system keys that define what we are, and we have detection of ACPI, and this essentially allows us to get a very minimal to, I guess, start to something. Like, you're not... doesn't get very far, but it does boot to the kernel. Only on live CD. That's the thing about ReactOS. The boot CDs don't support EFI, and they won't anytime soon. That's just kind of how it is for now. That's cool, but whatever. What we're going to do today is take this and expand on it a little bit, and we're going to also make freeldr boot EFI files as if they were, you know, anything else really. So in freeldr.ini we have basically examples of what type of things we can boot. Okay. So we have floppy drives, we have whatever the hell this is, we have drive D, load ReactOS from hard disk, blah, 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 blah. So we can define these system paths. We can define the default system path. We can boot different operating systems and have different boot types. There is a PR that exists of booting higher versions of Windows with freeldr. And we're going to take that and we're going to turn it into something later, not today, but we'll turn that into something else. And then the other thing is we're also going to use this system to define something like this. So we have maybe, let's say, EFI, and then we have the boot type into EFI. Or we could say chainload, but I think EFI is fine. I think that makes sense. Then we'll have a boot path, which, whatever, right? Then we're going to have a different strings like kernel and RD, kernel, ReactOS, whatever. But here we're going to have something like EFI boot whatever .EFI, okay? And we don't have a command line. That's kind of what I'm thinking is how it's going to work. essentially, where we're going to directly chain load these EFI files if we find that the boot type has been declared as EFI. We define where it is and the actual file we're booting, and the disk gets on, which makes sense. So in the actual system, right, this is going to be hard to do because you're going to have to know what you're doing. But essentially, this is very educational moment. Yeah, so essentially what this is going to be is disk 0, partition 1, which in theory, freeloader should understand that. And an EFI freeloader, it does with trickery. So, yeah. In order for this to work, we're going to have to define it for now as disk. Say. But yeah, that's kind of the idea that we're going for. So I'm going to follow the rest of this here, and yeah, this is kind of what we're going to do. We'll put it in freeloader.ini as well, and then we're going to look at where this is parsed. We have boot CD, live CD. We'll add one here. We'll say EFI is equal to start chainload EFI file. We have that. Okay, this should show up in Freeloader's menu now. That's all we really need to do to make it show up, as usual. But the difference being we're going to have, let's say, a system path instead. Ooh, that's the hard question. I guess we can use the default. Yeah, let's try that. And let's look at where this gets parsed. So, I actually vaguely know where it is, but we're just going to go look at it anyway. So, let's see. People keep asking me stuff. Okay, so what we were looking for is boot manager. Alright, so here is our wow, this thing is microphone's just not working very well. Oh, what was I doing? Oh yeah, so here is our essentially OS loading methods. We have a Linux, we have boot sector, drive, partition. What we're gonna do, we're gonna define another one here at the bottom. Called EFI. Wow. Edit custom boot. EFI. Load and boot. EFI, let's say. Linux. That's interesting. It has its own... We'll follow the Linux path. We'll do it how Linux does it. See what that is as a custom. Alright, so after this, we're going to have if-def AMD64, and then edit custom boot ReactOS. This is not architecture specific. This is EFI specific. Wow. Speech is not my skill in life, alright? So I'm going to say trace, edit custom boot EFI entry. And then we're going to say custom boot EFI. We're going to search for custom boot Linux just inside freeldr as a whole. And then we're going to grab this and go to a header file. Then add this, but don't add that. So I'm going to say if def EFI boot and if EFI boot. Then this if def EFI boot, then end if EFI boot. Then let me look at something for a few minutes. That is really fucking annoying. Holy shit. Wow. Jesus. That is a terrible system. What is that? Why? Okay, so let me get this straight. You have, if your AMD 64, it has that list, but if you're not, it has another one. All right. Okay. I don't need that. What does that even do? Is setup. Okay. The boot procedure of RAW seems to be a bit funky. Not really. It's actually... It's not perfect, but overall it works really well. There's like... It's really reliable. It's weirdly reliable, but it was made to be exact replica, essentially, of what Windows XP does. I think this is a little funky right here, but otherwise, there's very few things that have made in Freeloader that have made me go like, "What the fuck's that for?" So, it's okay. I like it. I think it does its job. And the reason this is probably like this is because it's going off of strings. So essentially, it's counting this each as a value. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So as 5, because, yeah, from starting from 0. But then, if it's not AMD 64, it's this. So you... yeah. It's a little... Yeah. And maybe this isn't the right solution where I only make this, like, call for here, and maybe the right solution is making the call everywhere, but then, like, inside the call saying, like, oh, this is not for this. And that would probably remove some jank, because I don't like preprocessor directives. I think they're a little ugly. They just kind of... It's hard to read them, in my opinion. That's just my controversial take. But they are very useful, so. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll do that, and then we'll do that. And in theory, that should be good. So now if we have UEFI boot, it'll add this as an extra entry. Yeah, I'm kind of not liking that, all the preprocessors there. It's kind of bothering me. Oh, I so don't like it. Very controversial in the world C language exists. Yeah, well, I don't know. I come from the modern world where I don't really care for C 100%. I think it's time for it to be replaced. Though I haven't seen any good replacement yet. Rust's close, but it's not all there. Just looking at your stream. Why did he respond to FHD? Hello. Options, start upload for the options. So the image, the section commands, the image file path, startup options for the image. Okay. Sure. In any case, what you're doing will be useful for the way. In any case, what you're doing will be useful for the way EFI way of loading things. Yeah. Yeah. All right, one moment. Okay, I don't like the preprocessors. We're not doing the preprocessors. We're doing it like this. I'm currently writing the non-UEFI aka BIOS away by copying and pasting and adapting the thing I've done for the SCSI mini port driver. Makes sense. And that's logical. Very logical. Okay. Hang on, we're gonna fix this. So, instead of just saying that we don't want the command to exist at all, we're just gonna put everything inside of it under the thing. So we'll do it like this. If indef EFI boot and if, and then we can just return I'll put that for now. We'll fix it later. Just lock it. Okay, hi! Oh, nope, you're gonna get deleted. Okay, you're out. Okay. Makes sense. This is just temporary, so we'll just do. So now instead we just have UEFI boot all the time. Although this can stay. This can stay like that. Load and boot Linux is inside Linux boot. And then we're gonna have EFI boot. Or PE boot is better one day. But for now we're gonna call it EFI boot. But yeah, PE boot's better. Small questions. Did you add GPT support into Freeloader to work? No. It was not supported already, and it's not supported at the second, but I do have a work in progress branch that does add some support for it. It's not required. Really, all you have to have is a FAT32 partition to put your EFI file in and whatever you're using to read the boot menu. So for Freeloader, all Freeloader really needs is freeloader.ini, and then you can point it in the direction of where your ReactOS install is, and that can be on any file system you want, because I don't read the disk with UEFI's file reading. I read the disk with UEFI's block IO. So we can have our own stuff. Okay. Yeah. Boot.c. Why do I have the impression you have a branch for every feature manageable? I don't. I wish I did, though. There's a lot of missing features. I have a lot of branches, though. I do. So meow. We're not gonna need that. We're not gonna need that. Do you ever sleep? No, I don't. I wish I did. I lost the ability to sleep a long time ago. We'll have that. And then we'll have our own little load and boot Linux. But instead of that, we're going to use load and boot EFI, which I don't know what we're going to use for that. We're going to have to figure that out. Okay, so load and boot Windows has argc, argv, environment p, which makes sense. So we'll create an arg status, and we'll put it inside EFI boot. And we'll say status is equal to 1 for now, just so we can compile. And status return status. Get that out of here. Get all that out of here. Okay. So load and boot EFI, and then we say load and boot Linux. By editing this and then removing that. That's in linux.h, which doesn't really make sense. So we're gonna have to say, oh, that really sucks. .h, I guess. Okay, that's gonna have to change. I don't like that at all. Fun! All right. Now we can just say a little bit of this, a little bit of a scoobity-da, and then EFI boot. And if include UEFI.h. This is not like the other UEFI.h. This is its own thing, doing its own stuff. That exists now. This exists now. That exists now. Boot Manager has its own thing now. And then we'll say, for now, just do this. I'm going to say trace. I said trace. And then we're going to have load and boot EFI entry. We're going to have that. Then we're going to have... Okay, so... Not an EFI system. EFI load and boot EFI. My goal is to be able to infinitely load and chain load freeloader, and no one can stop me, ever. It's going to be great. That's not a very good goal, though. We're not going to do that. Okay, so now in theory, that's everything we need to have a boot menu entry. That was not very many things. Wow. Okay. Let's try to compile it. I think the nice thing about this is that now that we actually have UEFI as freeloader extension pretty, you know, in there. We can actually do shit now. Fun things! I have so many things I want to do. But first we have to make UEFI as freeloader, not break things. That's a good step. So... I've always found it interesting that they essentially pre-made all of these entries. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm actually going to say, just because I'm kind of mean like that for now, boot IA32. Hello, Fei Yang. Welcome to the stream. Hello, friend. Okay. So image OS type, section commands, file path to the image loaded. So Hermes' thinking is only allowing our path, startup options, to the image loaded. Okay, I see kind of what he wants to do, and we'll have to do that. For now, we're going to do this as just an example, but I do see what he wants to do, and I do think that's a better system. But, yeah. So, now we have a question of... yes, that's right. EFI chainload. Let's rename it to EFI chainload. You don't want to include the invariant on accident. Okay, so the debug channel operator is undeclared, which makes fucking sense. I guess there's no other traces here. Who knew? Wow. That's fine. That's okay, I guess. We'll just printf, actually. That's better. We'll printf. And then just remove that. Okay, so that's what we're going for. Dprint EFI is undeclared. What? Oh, EFI boot 13. Oh. What should our debug channel be? Let's say warning for now. I'll create my own thing later. We don't even need it, really. I doubt we'll use it much. Edit custom boot EFI is not available. Oh no. Redefinition. Let's see. So we have it here, which is the actual function. Edit custom boot EFI, which is added here. It's done there. EFI, edit custom boot EFI, which makes sense. Custom.h, edit custom boot ReactOS. Hey, welcome. Distress Projects. I like that name. Very cool. Sorry, hang on. I'm looking into something. Sounds reasonable. Pretty fun. Pretty fun. Hey man, as long as you're enjoying yourself, that's all that really matters. So I'm thinking. Edit custom boot EFI is undefined. Custom.c100. It looks like my time might be cut short today, guys. My father has requested help. Okay, so we'll do this for a few more minutes. A few more minutes. Sorry. Wow. Ah, shit. I didn't know you needed help today. Okay, let's try to do this. So, how did I become familiar with the ROS code base? I started out doing a project that I way over my head, to be completely honest. I understood the OS dev concept, but I wasn't. The thing with ReactOS is that the people here really understand NT, for better or for worse. They're very helpful, and they're very inspiring. When I did my first project, when I was like jumped in and I wanted to do a project and stuff, the way it was hyped up to me was very particular and able to be broken down into its core OS dev concepts. The reality is, a lot of the time I spent my first year on ReactOS was just learning everything, because I think in general, and this is not everybody, but in general, a lot of the devs for ReactOS have spent so much time in the code base that they've forgotten how rough NT is. And I've made a lot of mistakes at the time too, like just getting distracted with a bunch of stuff and not having my own focus, that the result was that I basically spent the first year doing nothing that made any sense or turned out to be any of my final code. So failing a project is basically how I got through it, familiar with it, which is unfortunate, but it's probably very realistic, because I don't think a lot of the people working on it understand how difficult some of this stuff is. And some do. That's not everybody. It's just, it's a very different world. I'll put it like that. So it's very hard to learn. We don't do a very good job of warning people before going into it, I guess. So that's kind of how. But yeah. Hello, Winter. Please put my stuff in branch. What was I doing again? Okay, so custom's not getting what it needs. 624. Edit custom boot, edit custom boot, edit custom boot EFI. There we go. I don't know what it's complaining about, actually. Oh, if def. Okay. That really sucks. Because I don't know what custom.h. Ah. Ah, that sucks. Okay, hang on. I have to go get a password. Damn it. Oh, God, I'm tired. Fun stuff, am I right? Okay, there we go. Oh! Fucking love my profile picture, dude. I just changed it and it's so fucking cute. Hey, Void P, welcome to the stream. No, not really. Huh. What a day. We're having fun stuff. Mute, never mind. I'm not mute. Okay, I was muted, but I was talking to somebody. Sorry, we're getting a little busy all of a sudden. Fuck. Jesus. So what I need right now is figuring out what... so there's some early EFI support in Master now. Yes. Another interesting progress I missed. A lot. There's always a lot, I feel like. Yes. Early UEFI support is in Master. It's very cool. It doesn't get to kernel in Master at the moment, but freeloader's menu will pop up, and there's a PR to make it get to kernel. That's being addressed slowly. I'm gonna add this here and see if that fixes my problem, because I don't know what the fuck's going on. Is it just stupid? It's stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. It's definitely stupid. Where did it go? Did I miss something? I definitely missed something. It's me. I'm the dumbass. It was always me. Where? Fucking where, mate? Okay, so we have one. Wait. If defined as option menu, custom boot. What the fuck? Losing sanity again? I just don't know what it wants from me, to be honest. Well, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? I have no idea. So that works, but what? What? Okay. All right. All right, there we go. Now we have a thing. That's a thing that does things. So, in theory now, if we started freeloader and we did the good old smackaroni smack boot thing. Okay. Let's do two things, actually. So, let me show this, because I haven't shown this on camera yet. So if I do this, and I say pipe ReactOS, and then I go into my UEFI 32 thing, excuse me, and I did this, and I did that, and then I did this, and then I did that, and I connected this, hopes pipe ReactOS, and I chose EFI, and then I chose live CD, and what's this thing called? I called it UEFI fun, and then I chose UEFI fun, and I did this, did that, and booted that. After all of this, let me show you a couple things that happen now. All right. So, the first thing that you will have noticed is that this now can actually start the kernel. There you go. That's the kernel starting. Shocking, I know. Oh, wow. Absolute insanity. The other thing you might have noticed is that it crashes on bootvid, which is fine. But that's the kernel starting. It actually does start the kernel now. This is only with one PR. So, but what we're actually here for today is this. If I do this, it will freeze because it called our little function. So, all right, that's all I wanted to check. Okay, so now we have the ability to choose an EFI option. So now we're going to figure out how we want to do this, and we're going to look at that up. I know, cool stuff. Wow, insanity. I know. Let me look up some PE chain loading really quick to make sure I understand everything. Okay, so I think what I want to do is basically base it off of this thing. There is a system we use for the RT, Surface RT. That's basically a minimal environment chainload EFI file, and we're going to take a look at that for a few minutes. Fucking stop. Damn. So EFI chain loader, we have chainloader.inf, pretty cool. And then we have main and console. So watchdog timer set, fix output, load EFI file and start EFI file. It grabs the new image handle. Wow. The image handle. Wow, what the fuck? So one of the things that this, essentially we have a couple steps, I guess, is what we're going to say. We have the ability to grab the file from memory. We have the ability to start it, which is based off of location. It loads the image. Because there is a load image thing, it isn't really bad. I've never actually fucking heard of that. Okay, here we go. Fuck you! I'm not doing that! I'm not joining Gitbooks! Stop! You can't make me! No! Why does it want me to join Gitbooks? Oh, it's under construction, that's why. Oopsies! That's not helpful. So we're gonna have to extract everything into a couple steps. We have yeah, it makes sense. Well, yeah. Well, what I'm looking at right now is the actual EFI service for doing this. So there's so terminates the load image start, the handle of the image started. Essentially, what EFI does is it converts instead of you trying to load the PE crap yourself, EFI just abstracts it away in this fun, goofy system where essentially you have to create an EFI handle for it and blah 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 blah. So all we really need to do is make ReactOS is make freeldr open with the file system with the arc open and read it into a pool of memory. Tell EFI that this is the image handle that we want to create, and then we're going to open it with the EFI service, and then we're going to start with the EFI service. The entire thing is technically so this little thing right here is the goat patcher for the Surface RT. So if we ignore this and we can ignore that, this is all it really is with this, where it's only a 300 line process, but most of that's spent trying to read and like manage the memory for it. So some of that we can actually abstract away, thankfully, and some of it's just freeloader's going to do it for us. The hard part is changing the EFI image handle of the booting system. Yeah. Right. Well, you have to, because you're going to end up because even with our system, we have to have this EFI handle that's accurate towards the disk that's booting the device. Otherwise, it's just garbage. The entire thing just falls apart and blows up. It's fucking dead, you know. But yeah, that's kind of what this is. What we're gonna have to do. So, in theory, So I think what we'll do, how does an option... You can't. That's not how EFI does that. That's not something you can physically do. It's not in the spec. No. There is only two parameters that are given to an EFI application. That's the boot service table, which you can change, and you can store information on there, say about the firmware, but you really shouldn't, because that's provided by the BIOS manufacturer, as you can probably imagine. And then the actual image handle, which is the EFI handle that is loaded to the system. So if we go into Envirion actually does this already. Envirion will find ROSLoad somewhere. Ah, there it is, BCD. And it will open this, and it will find this boot directory, and it'll do the allocation needed, and blah, blah, blah. In theory, the Envirion will actually just change the parameters up a little bit, and that's why Windows did this. That's why Windows did that. Or, sorry. Windows wanted to be able to control what it passes to WinLoad, and so they created a two-step bootloader where it starts this boot manager firmware, and then it starts raw WinLoad or whatever. But we don't have that luxury. Also, we're not going to boot a Windows directly with EFI loading. Yeah, it sounds choppy, by the way. Yeah, that's because I don't have it on a very good system right now. I just kind of threw things together and called it good. I'm also not speaking very clearly. I expect most people... What I want to be able to do is be able to start boot manager firmware and load it as an EFI file, so I can still start Windows RT with having freeloader be the actual booting, EFI loader. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so what we need... I forgot this is a thing. Oh, Lord. Wow. Wow. Whatever. Okay. Freeloader is supposed to chainload boot manager firmware if I re-explain it correctly. Yeah, that's the goal. In theory, Freeloader should be able to start Linux directly, ReactOS up to Windows 7, if we apply the PR. It should be able to start Grub, boot manager firmware, and any other EFI file. And then if I ever add anything else, then yeah. But that's the main thing. The minimal is that it needs to chain load, because if we don't, then... If you replace something with... if you replace... Wow, I can't English now. If you replace something with freeloader and you don't have any way to like go back into the operating system, you soft brick the device. If that makes sense. You don't want to soft brick the device. Yeah, nice. Pretty much. So I have to implement this so we don't have any problems down the road of people bricking their device. Like, the thing with EDK2 and stuff is EDK2 has this giant menu it does everything in, but not every EFI implementation, like firmware and stuff for these like mobile devices, do that. So that's fun. I know with the chain loader that exists for the Lumias, it doesn't have a boot menu. And so it just boots whatever is in boot.efi. So if that's only freeloader, then you have no way to get back into your operating system. Nice. Because freeloader can't boot Windows 8 yet. One day I will, but not yet. It's possible. Windows 10's where it gets hard. I'd love to see it freeloader boot Windows 8 though. Anyway. So let's go ahead and turn this into steps, and then we'll implement the steps. What was I doing? Oh yeah. I moved my microphone up, so it wouldn't be as big of an issue. Okay. So, I would say that step 1 would be grabbing whatever is the name of the boot file. So let's do this. Okay. Grabbing boot file, grab arc disk number from INI, grab clock watchdog. I'm going to say file just EFI image. EFI file. That's the vague. Vague idea, kind of. So we'll put that there just so we have that. We know that from custom, if we go into Linux, we have what is our INI settings, get the kernel string, then we get the arc path and the drive, kernel prompt, get arc get time, add the section, add the boot type if we have one, custom Linux setup. So if not defined as EFI boot. For now, we'll do this by hand. And then we'll change it to use the actual INI file. So step 1 would be remove this. I'm going to grab putty. We're going to turn on debug mode for everything. Turn on debug mode. Let's go ahead and get that up. We'll do that, and then we're going to boot that, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to go ROS, and then we're going to do this. You should be able to see that. We'll grab the arc open from Linux, I guess, because I've never actually called any of Freeloader's disk services before, I'm not gonna lie. So if we have this, we have chainload EFI file, load BFI entry, we have our load identifier, it's chainloading EFI file, partition, this is, we're on CD-ROM 0, which is fucking true, and then we have the boot type EFI, we have boot type IA32, all right, for now, to do auto generates, we have boot IA32, CD-ROM 0. Okay. So for Linux boot, what we do, it draws the boot description. I don't know what any of that fucking means. And then, oh, I am imagining UEFI core boot, AMD motherboard, UEFI boot, ReactOS NT61. I wish. For now, it'll just be regular ReactOS, though. Although it does start my Longhorn branch. Because it can. Hello, Doris. Isn't that cutesy? Chain loading, my friends. We have... So file system open file takes in a boot path the name, which the name as we know is a PC string. which we're going to define that as EFI kernel name. This isn't really the correct name. We're gonna call it EFI nap. Boot IA32. We have that. .EFI. I have so many bad ideas. Okay. So we'll turn that to 0 for now. Boot IA string EFI 32. It grabs the arc path of the boot drive, which construct arc path of arc path drive number. Well, we know it's 0, and then partition number 0x77, if I recall correctly. Maybe. Okay. It's interesting that we deconstruct it and then reconstruct it. And then we get the argument value of system partition. So, what boot path is PC_str, which we're going to keep. So technically what we're doing here is we're going to have this, and then we're going to have EFI app name, which is actually this. This is equal to null. This is going to also equal to null. Then we're going to say EFI app name is boot IA32. And we're going to look at this. We're going to construct arc path based on. I guess we're going to actually say get argument value. I've never actually seen what this does, so we're going to look at it really quick. I can assume, but I want to look. There we are. Arc supplement to get next arc value. Ooh, that's complicated. Okay, so it's parsing per string. The list of strings. Cool. Thanks. Great. Fun. That's useful. I assume this turns that into a signature. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Do we have... Oh, okay. No, that makes sense, actually. That's a cool system. Yeah, let's see what this is. I assume this is going to be just CD-ROM, because we're booting off a CD-ROM. So, trace. And I guess we have to use this really quick. Don't mind me, I've never actually done any of this stuff before. Bamp. It's going to be boot path. That should give me boot IA32 and CD-ROM, I think. Or ARC system, whatever the fuck the name is. Ah. is going on? The Windows sound keeps playing, and I'm not really sure why. I gotta guess, though. What the fuck? Stop! Oh my god. Whoa. What was that? That was a thing. I love how ReactOS is newly implemented. Where it's going the other way. Newly implement Redux is implementing 32. Yeah. My ears. Me too, dude. That's because I'm loud. That's a warning. I gotta put like a thing in the start. Yeah. Okay, yeah, cool. So it grabs the actual CD-ROM and it grabs the... Okay, that makes sense. I don't know why I didn't believe it. Well, I guess I did, but I just wanted to see myself. Stop judging me. Okay, so now that we have that, in theory, we should be able to actually look for and load the file system file. So we have the name, the boot path, open read only, and then we have, which I assume is some memory that we just allocate for it to chill in. Ulong Linux kernel is equal to that. Oh, wait, no. Wait, what? File system open file takes in a field ID. Ah, file ID. Okay. Huh, I had no idea. What? What? God damn it! Fuck off! Oh! God! I just got like 20 notifications. He's bonking me. Hello. The boot drive deal stuff. No. I'm gonna give him a Pepe. Oh god, that scared the ever living. You don't need the boot drive deal stuff. Thanks for the time you let yourself one and indicate a full path. What do you mean by that? Like, okay, wait. Here, I'm gonna. There you go. Now you can listen live. Or now you can listen live. Ah, fuck. I know how to use Discord. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you limit yourself one file image path entry. Oh, Jesus. Yes, I do. Sounds good. Please add compression to your audio sources. No. Fuck you. I guess I can. Hold on. Filters. Mm-hmm. 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 So you want me to replace... Wait. Options. Wait. I think so. Are you asking me not to grab anything from the INI file right now? Because I was just going to mess around with the loading for a while. I wasn't going to grab anything from the options yet. So because what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to grab this default system partition variable that we store. A little bit, I think. I understand what you're saying. What you actually want me to do long term. It's just, yeah. I've never actually chainload a PE file or chainload a EFI file. I know you could do it really easily. I just haven't ever. But that's what I was mostly looking at. But I do think I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and I think long term your idea was better too. Is the other thing above where you were talking about actually just grabbing only an absolute arc path from INI and making it only so the 3 options from the file are there. I only put this there as a stub right now. Yeah. No, you. Yeah. Let me in. Okay, Ronnie. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, it does. It abstracts away the process of providing the system table is why it's important. Because essentially all of these EFI, like all the EFI chain loaders, like the one I'm looking at right now, I don't think I pasted it here before, but here you go. This is what we use for the RT, where we modify the GOP in the system table and then just use EFI to load it directly. So yeah, it's not a very complicated piece of code at all. But yeah, fun stuff. Although I don't understand is why we don't... I don't understand where this file ID comes from. I assume we're just keeping track of all the different instances of Arc Open we have, but... Okay. Makes sense. Didn't have it easy. Oh, great. Alright, where do you plan to physically need a wolf tail? I do have a beam of spikes present around. Fun. Sorry, switching mouse from the top. Wait, hold up. I just noticed how cursed that emoji is. Yes. Okay. File system. Read only. Okay. Right, we're passing it as a modifiable. So what we're going to do is ulong EFI file. Pass it. File is equal to 0. Pass that in as modifiable. I'm tired. I'm just gonna shove this in here. Bam. Kernel name, EFI app name, boot path is boot path, open read only, and then we're gonna say the file ID. Oh, okay. I see why we do it in the file system now. Instead of returning a buffer from fs open file, you just open an instance and then you take the file ID to actually read from it after you, okay. That's obvious. Never mind. Get it. Why are you using full Visual Studio old version 2017? I'm not using anything that makes... Oh, wow, you're fucking right, I am. I don't know. I just do. We don't really... I don't know. Yeah. So now we have Linux boot failed, which would be down here, which is just I'll steal that too. EFI boot failed. Then if this is a case. So if the arc is open, so it's not 0, and we have an ID for it, go ahead and arc close EFI file ID. And we're going to say no execute there, then just return status. Or I guess in this case, for the way this one works, this just must not return. So, oh, okay, so yeah, that makes sense. INI cleanup initialize. UI uninitialize. So it'd be like this. UI initialize. Boot external, but don't do that because we don't need that. This should never return. So now we have the boot failed, and now we have that. So if we put something like boot.efi, we should get a failed error, and then if we put a boot.efi in there, we should be able to find it. So the boot path is just going to be right in the root of the drive now, so this should fail. As it does, boot EFI not found, and then if we close that, we open this, and we are going to grab, let's say, I have a copy of Mini Linux somewhere in here. Nope, wait, not that. Well, I guess I don't. Cool. Boot x64. This shouldn't boot at all. I don't want that. I need something. Wow, that is not helpful. I thought it was forked, but never. Okay, guys. I'm just gonna copy it. Don't need to do much about it. Okay, we're gonna turn this into boot. So boot.efi, boot.efi, overwrite. Okay, never mind. Don't do that. Being used by another process. What other process? Oh, look at that. Okay, that was the process. Ah. Make it const. I like how once I start doing something, you start like, oh wait, but what about this? That's awesome. Okay. So, what the fuck? What? Why did it turn all of a sudden into non-minimal? What? What caused that? What the fuck? Okay. Leave the fancy freeloader, please. Okay, I can do that, but why does it turn fancy after? Okay, I don't want to. Yeah, whatever. If I don't see it, it's not a bug. Okay, leave the fancy freeloader. Okay, you asked for it. No. And now you'll have fancy freeloader. There you go. I hope you're happy. Is that what you wanted? Fancy freeloader. There you go. All right. So... Oh, my dad wanted me to do something real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we can actually, like, grab that. Leo, if you change your fucking profile picture one more time in the next 3 days, I'm going to smack you. How beautiful and colorful. Yeah, I love this version of Freeloader. It's a shame we don't do it by default. It works way better on with phones. It's kind of funny. Okay, so now this will find the file, and now we gotta open it. So, file system, get file, file system, open file init rd, load the blue sector, get file information. Linux read kernel, which I assume just allocates memory out of. Ew! Why is. Oh, yeah, wait, no, that makes sense for Linux actually. Okay, so allocate somewhere else. And then we arc read into the address, which I guess for EFI it doesn't care. A first attempt I made for BIOS. Oh my god, you're such a speedrunner, dude. Not native base. That's so cool. What the hell, man? Get argument value engines. Define argument. Yep. Hear you loud and clear. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Well, we can make. Mm-hmm. Well, we can make, if we do it, we could still make EFI freeloader boot PE images too, although we need to have both if we do that. So we have an option for loading EFI, we have an option for loading PE directly, I guess. Yeah, except it also abstracts away all the PE specific information. So load image will physically just take the entire space of memory. So, okay, sorry. Even Envirion has this, but that thing at linked I said is simpler. Load image just takes the buffer of memory that where the EFI file has been loaded, and it will convert it into an EFI image, and it will launch it directly. So while you can change the system table as it passes to it, you have to let EFI itself deal with all of the image handling. You just pass it a buffer where it's been stored, basically. It's really, really thin layer, super thin, and that's like probably a good thing for what it does. But yeah, but all rings your live streams trained. But can you do this challenge at a certain point? Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I start doing something and then I look at the possibilities. I'm like, but what if? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So with EFI images, I have not actually ever gotten a clear answer on that. From what I've been told, you can't have an EFI file that has dependencies that need to be physically loaded. The way Quibble achieves it, which is the only time I've ever seen anyone actually achieve something like that, is that the EFI file itself has no required imports, but it loads butterfs.sys manually and then parses the function pointers from the export list. So it doesn't depend on it, but it can import from it, which I guess is cool. But from what I've been told, EFI files themselves can't have imports, or sorry, they can't have I just flipped the wording. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things we can do with it, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good question. I guess the only way to find out is to try it. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. It kind of seems like looking at Envirion, it kind of seems like that's vaguely one of the intentions that that Alex was eventually going to go for, I guess. Because if we look at Grub and stuff, and the way Grub loads boot manager firmware, it doesn't support anything except for, directly starting it when it's like right there. You have it doesn't support anything except boot manager firmware, right? You can't load ROS load and stuff. And I've never actually seen another loader do something like that, but if we look at Envirion, it kind of seems like it was trying to do what you're talking about eventually at the end goal. But again, most of Envirion's kind of a stub, but yeah. But I don't know though. I mean, it's going to require an experimenter too. It's not something directly defined. In fact, chain loading itself isn't something directly defined, except for if a file is adjacent to the actual EFI file that was loaded, right? So that entire command's purpose is if it's essentially in the same folder, or the same drive, I guess, the EFI ESP drive or whatever. But that's all stuff we're getting kind of in the undocumented territory, and I guess it would depend on the firmware implementation too. So I guess what my question would be then for EFI itself is it break if we do a fix up anyway? Does their loading process break? Which is a good question. Fun. I need to help my father with something, so I'm gonna have to end it here, guys. Sorry. Thank you all for watching. Hope everyone has a good night. I'm gonna say that